Welcome to the Concrete Kids YouTube channel, where we do all things concrete and gaming, eventually. We're going to continue with something relatively simple, so simple that yes, even I, an almost 15-year-old, about a month away, can do it. We're going to be reading the history section of the Concrete Wikipedia. As shown in the title, this is part 2. Make sure you see part 1, made by my good friend. I am your number 2 host, David, and this is your Concrete Wikipedia. Okay, first we're going to go over the etymology part, since it's quite literally one sentence long. Etymology. The word concrete comes from the Latin word concretus, meaning compact or condensed. The perfect passive participle of concrescere from con, together, and crescere, to grow. History. Ancient times. Concrete floors were found in the royal palace of Tiryns, Greece, which dates roughly to 1400 to 1200 BC. Lime mortars were used in Greece, such as Crete and Cyprus, in 800 BC. The Assyrian Durin aqueduct made use of waterproof concrete. Concrete was used for construction in many ancient structures. Mayan concrete, at the ruins of Uxmal, is referenced in incidents of travel in the Yucatan by John L. Stephens. The roof is flat and had been covered with cement. The floors were cement, in some places hard, and by long exposure broken and now crumbling under the feet. But throughout, the wall is solid, and consisting of large stones embedded in mortar, almost as hard as rock. Small-scale production of concrete-like materials was pioneered by the Nabatean traders who occupied and controlled a series of oases and developed a small empire in the regions of South Syria and northern Jordan from the 4th century BC. They discovered the advantages of hydraulic lime with some self-cementing properties by 700 BC. They built kilns to supply mortar for the construction of rubble masonry houses, concrete floors, and underground waterproof cisterns. They kept the cisterns secret as these enabled the Nabateans to thrive in the desert. Some of these structures survive to this day. In the ancient Egyptian and later Roman eras, builders discovered that adding volcanic ash to lime allowed the mix to set underwater. They discovered the pozzolanic reaction. The Classical era. The Romans used concrete extensively from 300 BC to 476 AD. During the Roman Empire, Roman concrete, or opus cementitium, was made from quicklime, pozzolana, and an aggregate of pumice. Its widespread use in many Roman structures, a key event in the history of architecture, termed the Roman Architectural Revolution, freed Roman construction from the restrictions of stone and brick materials, enabled revolutionary new designs in terms of both structural complexity and dimension. The Colosseum in Rome was built largely of concrete, and the Pantheon has the world's largest unreinforced concrete dome. Concrete, as the Romans knew it, was a new and revolutionary material, laid in the shape of arches, vaults, and domes. It quickly hardened to a rigid mass, free of many of the internal thrusts and strains that troubled the builders of similar structures in stone or brick. Modern tests show that opus cementitium had as much compressive strength as modern Portland cement concrete. However, due to the absence of reinforcement, its tensile strength was far lower than modern reinforced concrete, and its mode of application also differed. I would like to take a second to appreciate the horns in this music. Alright, that's all I'm going to appreciate. Modern structural concrete differs from Roman concrete in 2 important details. First, its mixed consistency is fluid and homogeneous, allowing it to be poured into forms rather than requiring hand layering together with the placement of aggregate, which, in Roman practice, often consisted of rubble. Second, integral reinforcing steel gives modern concrete assemblies great strength and tension, whereas Roman concrete would depend only on the strength of the concrete bonding to resist tension. The long-term durability of Roman concrete structures has been found to be due to its use of pyroclastic volcanic rock and ash, whereby the crystallization of stratlingite, a specific and complex calcium aluminum silicate hydrate, and the coalescence of this in similar calcium aluminum silicate hydrate cementing binders helped give the concrete a greater degree of fracture resistance, even in seismically active environments. Roman concrete is significantly more resistant to erosion by seawater than modern concrete. It used pyroclastic materials that react with seawater to form altobomerite crystals over time. The use of hot mixing and the presence of lime glass are thought to give the concrete a self-healing ability, where cracks that form become filled with calcite that prevents the crack from spreading. The widespread use of concrete in many Roman structures ensured that many survive to the present day. The baths of Caracalla in Rome are just one example. Many Roman aqueducts and bridges, such as the magnificent Pont de Gard in southern France, have masonry cladding on a concrete core, as does the Dome of the Pantheon. The Medieval Ages. After the Roman Empire, the use of burned lime and pozzolana was greatly reduced. Low kiln temperatures and the burning of lime, lack of pozzolana, and poor mixing all contributed to a decline in the quality of concrete and mortar. From the 11th century, the increased use of stone in church and castle construction led to an increased demand for mortar. Quality began to improve in the 12th century through better grinding and sieving. Medieval lime mortars and concretes were non-hydraulic and were used for binding masonry, binding rubble masonry cores and foundations. Bartholomeus Angelicus, in his De Proprietatibus Rerum, describes the making of mortar. In an English translation from 1397, it reads, "Lime is a stone brent by Madlage. Thereof, with sand and water, cement is made." From the 14th century, the quality of mortar was again excellent, but only from the 17th century was pozzolana commonly added. The Canal de Midi was built using concrete in 1670. The Industrial Era. Perhaps the greatest step forward in the modern use of concrete was Smeaton's Tower, built by British engineer John Smeaton in Devon, England, built between 1756 and 1759. This third Eddystone lighthouse pioneered the use of hydraulic lime in concrete, using pebbles and powdered brick as aggregate. A method for producing Portland cement was developed in England and patented by Joseph Aspen in 1824. Aspen chose the name for a similarity to Portland stone, which was quarried on the Isle of Portland in Dorset, England. His son William continued developments into the 1840s, earning him recognition for the development of modern Portland cement. Reinforced concrete was invented in 1849 by Joseph Manier, and the first reinforced concrete house was built by François Coignet in 1853. The first concrete reinforced bridge was designed and built by Joseph Manier in 1875. Pre-stressed concrete and post-tension concrete were pioneered by Eugene Freycinet, a French structural and civil engineer. Concrete components or structures are compressed by tendon cables during or after their fabrication in order to strengthen them against tensile forces developing when put into service. Freycinet patented the technique on the 2nd of October, 1928. Well guys, that was the entire history section of the concrete entry for Wikipedia. It was a pretty long video this time, about 4 times as long. Yeah, watch the other ones that are coming at some point. This has been your number 2 host, David, signing off.